Welcome to, is it recording? Aye, it is apparently, though it never does. Welcome to GME Tradespotting. This is the busy ape series for AMC and GME AMC, broken below horizontal resistance over the diagonal band line that was coming through is also broken. Prices have dropped below 41, so they went 38 exchange. They're likely going to go down again to 30 bucks if they can't recover this horizontal. If that 30 bucks doesn't hold, it'll wick to 27. Likely though, they do try harder here. A 50 period above you on the 15-minute isn't going to be easy to break because it's also coming past that diagonal. Well, that's 15 minutes, so I hate talking about diagonals. Horizontal is at the same place at 41 change, 41.44. That's also, when you look left, relevant and period of congestion there, and we were at it before. So it may well be that prices do try and come up here, and this zone proves interesting between 45 and 36. That 44 and change level is important. 47 above it is also important. Difficult to get past there. Your oscillators say trend has been weak. It's not been like this down move, which is counter to the higher highs and higher lows, has been mostly due to a weakness in strength. That increasingly low, like the lows between these 2 points, it's hard to judge what that's like with regards to future implications, but you can see on the top side that it looks to me a little bit like a wedge, and maybe that means that this particular part of this move has played out to what you expect to see most of this down. That would be something like first touch inside, touch side. See, that breaks out here. Nope, that wouldn't. That would take you back down to 31. So this wedge does have a bigger measured move off it, though your horizontal support previously, first one broke, second one touch, third, fourth. It's not coming back down here. This would be too much for it to test that low again without going lower. So I'd say it only gets that much of that probably. Again at 32, and don't even really think it's getting there, but it's possible. So that's to be wary out. On the bottom side, this is a bearish formation, and like everyone's been saying on Superstonk about wedges and whatnot, here's one here, and it is real. Let's see. Well, you can draw it different ways. You can take it over different areas. Perhaps you just do it from here, and that may well be true because it's an inverted head and shoulders, and this is when this formation was on its own and most clean. And if that is the case, then you're talking about different kind of move altogether. Let's see, it happens. Well, if it had happened in a couple of days, you've already done it. If it happened there and you only get 60% of it, that's kind of where you're at already. So it may well be that this is the buy on AMC and it jumps up from here. It's just not as good a buy risk reward as down here. And so that's what I'd be waiting for to add to that if I was doing it. This not having convincingly come, the RSI not having convincingly come out of the bearish control zone that early, don't like that. I think it should have done better. I also want to see how it does on the when it meets the center line here, and if prices get above the 50 and 200 period, and then if they get above looking left horizontal resistance 53 and whatnot, that's not happening anytime soon. The daily time frame drop below the center line, potential head and shoulders. You went into the bullish control zone, at which point you were divergent, and a trend check of the 200 wouldn't be out of the question, and that's all the way down at 21, though I don't think it'll get there. That may drive it as far as those other areas we were talking about. High, nope. There's nothing there to peg your space station to. There's a 50 period right 37. It may well come down and test that again. Looking left, the body close here, previous body high, and then this area does look very interesting there. Maybe that's close enough, and it is close enough, is near enough. It looks like a good test. That could have been your buy. If you're not, like, risk reward on this isn't about closing it in a stop, in which case, I imagine, in which case, this is not all that crazy an entry, and this is good too. You can just manage your position by having some powder dry and putting slightly more in if it goes there. Oh, you've got it below 41, 44, so you're getting it cheaper than a lot of people, and that percentage is significant on these sort of prices. And that 200 period moving average coming in there on daily, don't know if that's relevant, not yet. I'd looked at it later, maybe in the 3-day. More of this seems to be a bull flag. Perhaps it was a pennant at the time, or perhaps it still is a pennant. So, if so, you would suggest maybe it broke out and is retesting it. Fine. Plays with the inverted head, the inverted head and shoulders here. That looks, you want see this putting in closes above 62. Doesn't have to happen right yet, but if you don't go up and test the highs soon, you will come down and test the lows on AMC. If you don't test the highs, you'll test the lows. And then, so we've gone all the way up to the daily and go up to the weekly and say, there's your actual head and shoulders now. This is an important level for the RSI not to break below 53.50. If it does, could be a terrible move down for AMC. It's not necessarily terrible for everyone because it only takes you as far as 200 period moving average, and a lot of people love that entry, and I would buy shitloads of it. It's $13, but that looks like a measured move from an inverted head and shoulders on a logarithmic chart. There's also other things like if this is a bearish wedge, that might be the low, and then that price I can continue on and go up again. It might well then be a bit of a harmonic in that case as well, which I suspect it is. So we'll see, depending on how low this gets, what the potential move on it is and what the entries will look like at the time. But presumably you're buying AMC to hodl it, in which case you're all about the entries, and we got one, we're at another, and this is your next one. No, it isn't. That's a huge one down there. That's not the next one. Next one's 21, then 27 to 29, then 41, 44 above it. So that's that. And that's it. AMC TA, it's a little bit dodgy, has been for a while. This may be a buy. If it isn't, another one's coming up soon. I wouldn't worry about the price action on AMC. I would have worried about it a couple of weeks ago, but if you're just tuning in for it nowadays, then you've missed all that stuff where I told you it was going down, which is great. You wouldn't have worried about it yourself because you would have known what was happening, because that's the way it is at Tradespotting. Okay. And then share it with your friends, hit the like button, so on and so forth. Then we're going to do GME, and a quick hit to GME summary. GME closed at 192 and 20 cents. If it's the first time you've heard the price today, you might be surprised, but then the whole world went through the toilet briefly there this morning, so to come back at all is good, and it has been not a terrible comeback. If we look at it from a 15-minute time frame, stretch out a wee bit. The low of the day, 184.85. High of the day, 202. So $8 from the top, 84.92. $8 from the bottom. We're in the mid-range of today's price action. High, lows, mid-range. You've got your 50 period crossing below your 200 and the 15-minute. You might come up and test that again. You've got a flash on this 15-minute DMI, I think. No, you haven't. I can't see actually. Have you? No, I don't think so. Right. So you've got these horizontal levels below you at 190, which is where we've put in a little bit of stoop so far, and a couple of times it's proved to be support historically. RSI has put in quite a strong recovery from having been in the bearish control zone. To go up so high so soon was quite strong, though it's done that a number of times in this move. It's been higher than any of the others and has a higher low, so maybe something there interesting. And then these again, it's like AMC where you're trying to judge it from the bottom. It's like you're not getting real bottoms here. You don't know, so you can't do that. But you can see it from the top side of things. Like these are real supply lines where people are ditching this. Not us, some people. And that 225 was previously a level horizontally. Expect it to be a level on this diagonal as well. 50 and 200 period moving averages crossing, as I say, that's going to get tested, so that'll bring price up a little bit, likely. 30 minutes, similar story. If that crosses, likely they'll get tested, bring price up a little bit more back, maybe closer to the 199, 200 region. On the hourly time frame, I've only got 2 touches there. They're not significant. You could draw something through this and say, but that doesn't really work either one, and it doesn't really. It does give you an impression of most price action, though, has been following that sort of guide. This sort of channel up. Those things above it. Could we expect to see something below it? Perfectly possible. There is a channel on the way down. Drop below it. Drop inside it. Drop above it. Back down. Test it. Out of it. Looks like you've won that time. Then breaks below it again. So interesting. And then what timeline is that? So 1 hour. Go back up to 4 hour. You can see positive signs in RSI. It's not made it into the bearish control zone. Did drop below the neutral line. Did that as you were breaking out of this horizontal support, which is disappointing for it. But it's a wick mostly. 50 period moving average holding it. You could aim for above the center line. Good work. Aim for above there, and the bullish control zone even better. I'd like to see you try that, but I suspect that it needs something underneath it to prove to people it isn't going lower yet, so that people are more eager to put money into this thing. Maybe 180, maybe 170. Would it attract people at that level that haven't heard of it before? Would that get more people excited? Has it been there regularly enough, recently enough that the world knows about GameStop now and that isn't the thing? Might be, you know, might be that we're not really looking chart-wise for more people to come in and buy this, but for it to consolidate and to put in strength at these levels because no one's selling and that's what we would expect to see. 200 period there, 50 period there, 4 hour. You come below the 50 and you've touched the 200 on the 4 hour. That's interesting. And that's what always happens on a trend check. And you put in a touch of divergence between these two highs. That's likely to happen anyway. It took an extra bounce from the stock market to bring it there, but no problem. Here's your 50. Didn't hold, wick down, back close to it again. That 192, 20 bucks, that 236 when you look left on the Fibonacci that you've moved there. You hold your 236. That's important. And if you can do that, you'll likely go back up to the 618 and so on. Those would be 212 bucks. And that would be the top of this potential channel. It looks like you're kind of really in as well. And that when people are most scared is when the time to buy, I suppose. And people are scared here because it looks like it's going to drop. And if it does drop, you know, this is so close. It's not that horizontal. It's these ones here. And they'd be worried. Oh my God, I'm worried. And it's like not getting there. Like, how's it going to get that snowy? Right. And these are the targets from ages ago that it's got to once. And they'll likely aim for them again above you. Where is that? 240 and then 263. That's the 236 Fibonacci looking left. If these do go well, then you could expect them to see something like that. You've had to cross between the 50 and the 200 on the 4 hour. That's your test of both of them. That's positive. This is an entry for so many reasons, actually. You know, you probably asked earlier if you could get it cheaper in around 174. Maybe you do get it around there, but this is a buy already for various reasons. That 50 period, the touch of the 200, the fact that that's normal from a test on this cross, that's so likely to keep happening daily. It's up there. It's got a positive slope, positive splay still while that's happening. 4 hour. Yeah. Zoom out a wee bit. Holding that 50 period moving average on the 4 hours, like very significant. It's quite obvious that that's what's doing when it's on there too. 1 hour, but gap maybe it's a 15-minute mostly. There's a tiny bit there on the hour, so it will get filled too. That'll get filled at some point. It'll be back at 205 and that'll be filled. It might be a wick and you bring back down to test support after it. 200 period at 200 and 50 period at 202. Resistance above you at around 200 plus psychological level quite strong, so I'd expect to see it get knocked down, tiny touch there at that point. You put that through the time frames and you can see it goes up a wee bit, gets a little touch, comes back, people buy it again. That's likely what's going to happen with GameStop. 100, 200 touch back around where we are, could drop down lower. 188.9, 182, 179, 177. Below that you're looking at 150, 130. Don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I think this is the sort of thing that looks like a bounce. Although this formation isn't very, it doesn't include all of price action, you know, it does seem to speak to me about the linear progression of the thing. So that's what I think about that, and that's down in the 15 minutes. Did we go up the time frames? We must have. That's how we got here. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not as many touches on the top side, but, you know, like we were talking about potential wedge and whatnot. Done some of the move. Yeah, cool. Hourly. Yep, back here, same story. Hold the center line of this, which is previous resistance, now support, positive. You're going to blow it on a wick back above it on the body close, plus with a 50 period moving out. And then here you're talking about this. Is it actually going to break out of a formation like that? No, not really. Like, much more likely this top side turns into a channel, and then it keeps going through it with these oscillations, and this center line being relevant when you're above it and below it in terms of support or resistance. So more of the same for GME. The bastards will try and roll you over. They'll try and get you down. They'll try and make you give up. But everywhere they push it to is just a reason to buy it. And it looks like it's going to be that forever. So that's the busy ape section. I don't know how long it was or how if it was any helpful, because I did feel like I was daydreaming in my own head at times. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hit the like button. Tell your friends. Leave a comment. And just be nice to each other. lady. Thanks very much. Bye for the busy apes. But hello, everybody else. I'm still here, everybody else.